welcome back to a new video. My name is Jade Shinyu and I help people reclaim back their power physically, mentally and spiritually. Now today we're going to be talking about something that many women struggle with, myself included, on and off throughout the years. And that's something called PMDD. So this is basically premenstrual dysphoric disorder, which is basically a mental illness, a mental condition that's basically like PMS on steroids. So it's a really severe symptoms that are associated with our cycle every single month, but normally between a week or two before you start bleeding, so in the luteal phase of your cycle. Now, I was actually inspired to make this video as I saw other YouTubers speak about it, and weirdly I've been like researching it as well for like the past month, as my own cycle symptoms have been like quite bad recently. I know why, which I'll get into in a bit. So, but there's many things that I have done throughout the years which have massively helped me. So today I'm going to be talking about the symptoms of it, so you can see if you yourself actually do have this, because many women do and they don't even realize that they actually have it. So they just think that they're crazy, or you know, they really beat themselves up over it, or they may even think that they have BPD or some other, like, you know, more severe mental health condition, etc. So I'm going to be talking about the symptoms, the signs, and also like the cures, or you know, the things that I have done and dabbled with, supplements that I take that have really actually worked and really do help tackle it effectively, and also lifestyle habits and things that I also do to keep it as minimal and under control as much as possible. So starting with the actual symptoms of PMDD, a lot of people will mistakenly just say, oh, it's just bad PMS, but it's actually not. It's way more severe. And you will know if you have it because you will literally only feel normal or stable for like 2 weeks of every month. So every 2 weeks you'll go into this sort of condition where you completely lose yourself. You will have symptoms that are mainly consisting of severe depression, anxiety, fatigue, hopelessness, no motivation at all, complete loss of interest in things that you normally enjoy or do. And also the most severe symptoms is actually suicidal thoughts. And I myself get this quite a lot, or I used to. And that is probably the worst one. And also feelings of depersonalization, not really feeling like you're in your body. It can range, and it can also cause physical symptoms that you normally would associate with periods, etc. So what I've noticed with myself is, and the research that I have done, is one of the biggest causes of PMDD is actually trauma and stress. Because when I look back on my life, whenever I had periods of my life where I had not gone through any sort of severe trauma, my PMDD was basically non-existent. Like, I didn't have it. My periods were really stable. Even physically, my bleed was very light. I sometimes didn't even get pain. I didn't even take painkillers, which is like incredible for someone who, when I was a teenager, I had the most horrendous periods. There would last about 7 days of heavy bleeding, agonizing pain, migraines, and then obviously all the emotional moodiness and mood swings, PMDD symptoms on top of that. So it was pretty severe, to say the least. But I noticed, you know, one of the first things that needs to be addressed if you have any symptoms like this is your diet. So when I changed my diet and I started to eat more healthy, I went vegan, it really did help my cycle a hell of a lot. It lightened it, it kind of reduced it like by half. I would say nowadays I normally bleed for about 3-4 days, but I'll only have 2 days that are like heavy, if that makes sense. And then the rest of it is all right. But when I was in my prime health a few years ago, and before I went through a lot of stress and traumatic experiences, which I've gone into depth on my Patreon. It was actually a psychic attack, so you know there's a lot to my story, but if you do want to know that, because there is spiritual causes as well, I have a very long video. It's like an hour and 40 minutes telling my story of what I went through the past few years that completely turned my life extremely dark. And I've only just kind of got out of the other side about a year ago. So anyway, that's on my Patreon. But with diet, it is imperatively important. So with me, I do not drink alcohol. I limit my caffeine, because caffeine can obviously trigger anxiety, make it worse when you're in that phase of mind. Drugs as well, limit that, or just avoid it completely. Of course, avoid all hard drugs. And obviously I don't eat meat, I don't eat dairy, I don't eat eggs, I don't eat, you know, I'm completely vegan. Because some people obviously think that, oh, if they are vegan, if they go back to eating animal products, it might help, but that is not the case, because my PMDD was much more severe when I used to be a meat eater. So don't feel like if you are vegan and you suffer with this, it's because of your diet, because it's not. Well, not, you know, meaning it's because you're not having animal products. Because remember, dairy is like massively inflammatory, and there's many negative side effects to eating them sort of foods. But one thing that I noticed that really, really used to help me, especially my moods and my mental health and alleviating the symptoms, is actually having cacao and banana smoothies. Now, and I believe it's because in the cacao, it's got magnesium, so that really does help with anxiety. And two, it's got something called tryptophan. Now, tryptophan is an amino acid that's found only in raw, unprocessed cacao. So it's really important that you get raw cacao, not shipped cocoa or processed. Get organic raw cacao, because this is what has tryptophan, and it's an amino acid that assists in releasing serotonin, which is obviously the happy chemical. And also bananas pretty much do the same thing. They're really good for your mental health. But I found for some reason when I used to combine that, it really, really started to help my mental health. And I've noticed whenever I don't have cacao and banana smoothies, when I step away with it and replace it with something like oats and fruit, you know, still healthy breakfasts, but whenever I do not have that, my mental health would start to go down again. My depression would start to kick in. So I would literally have like quite a lot. I'd have like a big tablespoon of cacao, and obviously at least 3 bananas with it every single morning. At the minute, I don't have it every morning, but I'm going to go back to doing that, because when I think back to when my periods were the most healthy and really, really good, it's when I was pretty much eating a raw till 4 diet. So I'd normally have about 2 smoothies, and then in the evenings I would have, you know, a vegan meal, normally of like organic tofu with vegetables and rice, something along them lines. Another thing is to keep in check your fat contents. So another thing I'd notice is whenever I start to have too much fat, plant-based or not, obviously I don't eat non-plant-based, but for other people, you know, it doesn't even matter if it's healthy fats like avocado, peanut butter, all that sort of thing. Whenever I would have too much of it, it would make my depression start to get triggered again. So it's really, really important to keep that in check as well, you know, limit it. So don't be scared of fruit, because fruit obviously has natural sugars, but something that I would avoid is processed sugar. So I wouldn't have things that are like got loads of processed, you know, sugar in it, you know, try to avoid junk food, etc. So a good rule of thumb is basically try to eat like 80% clean, 20%, you know, give yourself a little treat now and then. But for me, what I found that completely healed my periods and symptoms of PMDD was really sticking to a diet of like, you know, completely vegan, high carb, low fat, and as clean as possible. But I'd still treat myself now and then, like I'd still have a vegan burger here and there, or go out for Wagamamas. You know, I love Asian, Japanese food. So it doesn't have to be like pristine, raw, vegan, clean, just in general. It really does help, but massively the cacao and banana smoothies, because of the magnesium and tryptophan, really helps with your moods. So I'll show you the supplements that I have, and I swear by these supplements. And these are not sponsored. I don't have any affiliate links or anything like that. I've literally been taking these supplements for fucking years. Because with PMDD, it can also cause and trigger like anxiety, bouts of anxiety, panic attacks, and I did have that. So one of the most important ones to battle the symptoms of anxiety and panic attacks especially, so if you're someone who does have that, is get yourself some GABA and magnesium. Now obviously it will be backwards, I don't know if that's going to focus, I'll put a picture if not, but GABA relaxes the brain, so it is such an effective thing, and this literally like reduced my anxiety and panic attacks by I'd say 80%. Like, it's fucking good. So, and you only need 1 pill per day by a brand called Dietary, so highly recommend this. Even if you don't have PMDD but you get anxiety, get GABA with magnesium, so effective. And another thing to help menstrual cramps, obviously PMDD symptoms as well, but everything basically to do with your cycle, is holistic shatavari. So shatavari is an Ayurvedic herb that's probably one of the most potent and effective with helping women's health you know, issues around their cycle. Again, I've been taking this for years and I swear by it. So this is really, really effective. If I don't have these two things, I go crazy. Like, if I don't have them two supplements, like, I notice it big time, and everything seems to like get worse. So, but saying that, years ago, I wasn't having them supplements. So when my cycle was like peak health, I actually was on no supplements except for like basic B12, I think niacin, you know, a few things for my third eye. But this was before the trauma, which I'm going to get into now. So for me, I feel like, I mean, first tackle the diet. So get yourself some of those supplements. Again, feel free to find other ones, but I found with all the research I've done, and obviously the just taking them for years, I find them to like the really good brands. I don't know if you can get Pucker Herbs in America. You probably should be able to, but I think Dietary is actually an American company. So for those who live in the UK, I think there's a website called aggressivehealth.com, and that's where I get my Dietary products from. But moving on. So one of the worst and biggest triggers I found in women and myself that massively amplifies PMDD symptoms is, of course, stress and trauma. Because obviously when you're hit with anything that massively messes you up mentally, it sends your whole nervous system into like chaos and havoc and survival modes. Because remember, everything is energy and your body stores trauma. So this is where you're going to have to do things that will help heal the trauma to alleviate obviously the symptoms as well. So like I always say, with any sort of health condition or mental health issue, you have to tackle all three things, all three energy bodies. So that's your mental health, your physical health, and your spiritual health. So with trauma is massively to do with both obviously the mental and obviously spiritual health as well. Because this could even be linked to like past life trauma, you know, reoccurring generational curses that may be getting triggered, especially with the women. You know, women in general, we do carry a hell of a lot of generational trauma just as a whole collective. Because women, of course, we've been through so much pain, betrayal, you know, abuse. So there's a wound there. So innately, I feel like pretty much most women, we hold this wound of rage and anger and grief, sadness. And this is why every time we have a period, that all comes to the surface. It's like all this suppressed anger and sadness and grief it all comes like ripping out of our soul, because it's like there's only so long we can suppress it, because energy does not die, it can only be transferred. So this is why having awareness of this is so important, and obviously doing what you can to tackle it. Do the shadow work, you know, ground yourself. But one of the most effective things that really helped me with my cycle and tackling PMDD symptoms, etc., was actually tracking my cycle. So you're prepared, because if you just have no clue about your cycle, you don't even know the phases that you're on, and you know, watch out for the luteal phase, because that's for most women when it really is bad, which is the week before you start bleeding, but it can also be 2 weeks before, which I've seen with myself at times, but it massively seems to get amplified around that week before the bleeds. It's really, really important to be prepared for it. So when you do go through that phase, you know, those awful 2, even 3 weeks, you will know, and then you'll be like, okay, I'm feeling this way because of what's happening. You won't feel like it's you, if that makes sense. You won't feel like, fuck, I'm going crazy, I'm losing my mind, even though you're showing all those symptoms. Even if you're going through suicidal depression, even if you're getting intrusive suicidal thoughts, you'll know it's that, and it's not something that, you know, you should act upon. You can not be impulsive about it, because I've seen, even with myself, when we go through that awful time period, you become very impulsive, and then you just get lost in the emotion, you get lost in the anger, the depression, the grief, and it's crippling. Like, it is so strong, it's so difficult to deal with, because you literally feel like you've gone insane, you literally feel like you've gone crazy. So it's very, very difficult, but never ever kind of like take it seriously. So if you know you're going through that time period, if you know you're on that, don't take your negative thoughts seriously. Try to really look deeper within, and I know this can be so difficult, and really do what you can to like calm your mind, even comfort yourself. If you can't bring yourself to meditate, because a lot of the times when we are going through this these symptoms, you know, the last thing we want to do is everything that's, you know, good for us, you know, because we'll be so tired, no motivation. It's like your brain works against you. You know, many times I'll literally just be laying in bed, like fucked, exhausted, just crying, and you don't even know why. So it's like, obviously you're not going to be like, oh, I'm just going to go meditate or journal or whatever, you know, all the things that we know help. But one of the most easiest hacks that I found when you're in a really bad way is sound therapy. Sound therapy is very, very comforting and effective for changing the body, changing your frequency. So in those moments of complete despair, grab your headphones. You don't have to meditate sitting up cross-legged or force yourself to do yoga. Just lay there and listen to really, really healing frequencies. I'll tag someone that I really like on YouTube. I think she's called May Lane or something. But there's many good binaural beats, you know, 432 hertz frequencies, you know, music that you can listen to on YouTube. But there's a particular woman that I really like, and she's got the most beautiful voice. The music she makes is very healing, and it has helped me through severe heartbreak. Because with myself, obviously, I've had very strong PMDD symptoms for about 8 months, I'd say, because I got triggered by betrayal trauma and severe heartbreak. So that's what triggers mine recently, was that, because it was like a huge stress, obviously. I mean, heartbreak in itself is so severe to deal with, you know, that pain. But for women, you know, this is why women suffer more. And it really aggravates me when they try to belittle women's pain, because with a woman, we feel emotion so strongly. I'd say more so than men a lot of the time, because, you know, negatively, because of our cycles, because of what we have to go through. Because with a man, you know, you get a huge boost of testosterone every single morning. That's why you wake up with, you know what, morning glory, because men get hit with a huge boost of testosterone every single morning. So obviously it's much easier for men to have more stable minds, mental health. You know, they're not as prone to mental health conditions as women are. Because their moods are obviously more stable because they don't have a cycle. But for us women, you know, our hormones are like this every single month. We only feel normal for what, 2 weeks every month. Even women without PMDD, we still get PMS. We still have to have a cycle. So your emotions and your hormones are going to be like a roller coaster. So for women, we don't fit in this hustle culture. Because at the minute, that's another thing that stresses women out, is we don't fit in with modern society. Our cycles are not created to fit in with going to work every single day, hustling, being a boss bitch, all the stupid things. You know, women, we don't fit in with that. Even working out, you know, it will be like this. And I'm someone who goes to the gym myself, and for 2 weeks I'll be smashing it, I'll be hitting PRs, you know, I'll be really strong, I can lift more weight, and then I'll have 2 weeks, and especially my periods week, where I feel so weak, and then it's like, fuck, and you feel like you've lost all your progress, you bloat, you look puffy, you look fatter. So it's like, you feel like shit again. You know, men don't have that. You're just stable. So this is why it's so important to be aware of what you and your body as a woman actually go through. You know, it's important to work with your cycle and plan with your cycle, and don't beat yourself up because you're trying to act like a man. Because in reality, we're not men. We're not supposed to be 100% energy. We can't every single day. So, you know, we're not lazy. It's just how our cycles are. You know, sometimes we'll have loads of motivation and energy, and then sometimes you won't. But, you know, and this is why, I mean, with men, that's their pro. So the benefit of being a man is obviously, you know, the benefit is they have that. They're more grounded. They have more energy, physical energy, that sort of thing. They don't have to deal with all these problems that we as women do. But our gift as women is we have stronger intuition. We are more obviously connected to the spirit world. So even though we suffer more in the physical world, we have a greater benefit when it comes to spirituality, the spiritual world. You know, you can't beat a woman's intuition, and men know that. You know, we always pick up on things. And ironically, when you're on your period, so when you start bleeding, your intuition is actually amplified. You know, I do oracle readings for clients worldwide, and when I am bleeding and I do a reading for someone, it flows effortlessly. I mean, I'm able to channel and give readings, you know, pretty much quite well most of the time, as I can like separate my consciousness from my own consciousness, if that makes sense. So whenever I have a client, I will like switch off me and be able to channel what their guides want to say, my guides. You know, the intuitive downloads just come through. But I've noticed when I'm on my period and doing a reading for someone, not on the too heavy ones, I never have clients then, as I need to rest, and don't like obviously doing it when I'm in pain. But when I'm bleeding on my lighter days and I do a reading, it's very, very powerful. So, but all women have this. You know, the more in tune you are with your feminine energy, the healthier your periods will start to become as well. So this is when it comes to the spiritual body. So like I was saying earlier, the physical, mental, spiritual. So with the spiritual body, that's what you need to connect to alleviate the symptoms of your periods and to cope better. So connecting to your divine, wild, feminine energy is so healing for your cycle. And I've noticed this on my path. The more I became connected to my divine femininity, the healthier and more in tune I became with my body and my periods. Because most women, we are forced to be in our masculine. And this disconnects us from our cycle. This disconnects us from our feminine, intuitive, spiritual sides. because we're forced to be living in this, you know, hustle, masculine, 24/7, you know, fast-paced environment. And that's the opposite of the divine feminine. So certain crystals can help with this. I've noticed with myself, I really like moonstone. So just getting yourself some moonstone. I actually have moonstone earrings. And again, this will help sort of get you immersed in that sort of energy. What really helped amplify and connect me to my feminine energy was actually building a connection to the moon, to my own cycles. And the more I've done this, the more my own period synced to the moon. So most of the times I'm actually a new moon bleeder, like clockwork. However, I've noticed, again, when I go through stress and trauma, my cycles won't be like clockwork. They'll start to move and become chaotic. Sometimes it will shift, and then I'll have a few full moon cycles. So there'll be that transition phase of like a month or two. Well, probably longer than that, about 2 to 3 months, as I move to like a full moon, and then it will go back again. So, but most of the times I'm a new moon bleeder. But this is really, really healing and empowering for women when you connect to your cycle, when you actually realize how sacred your own menstrual blood is, when you stop seeing it as dirty and gross. And again, when the more healthy you eat, the less fat you eat, when you avoid alcohol, spicy foods, heavy caffeine consumption, your menstrual blood won't be gross. It won't have strong smells. It won't have any of that. Even just everything to do with down below and your body odor and fluids in general. When you have a alkaline, high carb, low in fat vegan diet, all of that seems to like be massively improved. Trust me. That was one of the biggest physical things that I noticed with my body, is all of that is like way more just like healthy, no strong odors, none of that. So it won't gross you out as much, you know what I'm saying? So looking after your body, connecting to the moon, connect to your wild feminine spiritual side, really start self-care. To really learn more about this, I highly recommend watching the video I done quite a while ago, called Your Menstrual Blood is Magic. So do watch that video, and I explain there why your period is actually very spiritual, very sacred. Because they are, and this is what will heal the feminine wounds, the wounded feminine that you have in your soul by quite a lot, to be honest. Is connecting to your inner goddess energy, that wild side that the majority of women have massively suppressed. So really finding your true self, not this alter ego that society has forced us to embody, as that is what really messes up women mentally. And then it shows through our cycles and our periods, is that trauma, that disconnection to who we are meant to be, is really damaging for our souls, our whole energy, you know, the witch wounds. So really connecting to that through spiritual practices, spell work, meditation, tracking your cycle. There's really good apps actually. I used to use Natural Cycles, where you can take your temperature and then it tells you. You do have to pay for it though, so there may be free ones, I'm not sure. But there's actually apps that help you track your cycle. I might go back on that, to be honest, because it really is interesting to see what you're doing and what your body's doing. And all of this is so healing for women, you know, really taking back your own power when it comes to your body and your mind and your spirit. So I will leave it there, my loves, as this video is quite long. But just know you are not alone. You're not crazy. There is hope. So tackle your diet, your mind, your spirit. Do all these things. If you do suffer with this, or you have any other issues, then please reach out to me. I do have a sale now on to celebrate spring and the spring equinox, all that coming. I'm going to be releasing my oracle readings for a discounted price again. As I know times are tough for most people financially, so I probably will keep that price for quite a while to help you guys out, as I really do enjoy doing that as much as possible to really help as many people. So as always, I will link that down below. And until next time, my loves, please like, subscribe and click the notification bell so you don't miss my future uploads. If you want to watch more uncensored content, so I don't get cancelled, and other exclusive spirituality videos, I do have my own Patreon where I post a video once per week on there, an exclusive video for them, for Patreons only, the Goddess Coven. So I will also link that down below. All my services and socials and Instagram, etc. is all linked in my link tree. And another reminder, I only have one Instagram, at jades.shinyu. Any others are fake, so please do not purchase readings from them. It is not me. I never DM you. I never message reaching out directly for readings. So all of my readings are done through my link tree, my website, etc. only. So please keep that in mind. And until next time, my loves, I'm sending you so much love, so much light. Ahimsa.